It's a big welcome to George Boateng. George,
Hi,
thank you very much for coming.
That philosophy has gone out the window when Sir Alex retired. You can't keep changing the philosophy and style of a club to suit the manager that you have.
George, where does Kevin De Bruyne rank for you in terms of Premier League midfielders?
When we were working in the Premier League as a player and coach, the gap between the Championship and the Premier League was big, but not as humongous as it is today.
Right.
Marcus Rashford needs to get out of the environment of Manchester. It's breathtaking to watch him play at Villa.
If Coventry and Middlesbrough end up in the playoffs against each other, who are you supporting? Hi everybody, welcome to another No Tippy Tappy Football. Hey Sam.
Well, Nat, great to be here, but I've got to get onto the No Tippy Tappy Football thing.
Okay.
Because not just yet, but some stage. So if I do forget, please remind me. All right. But our guest today, we've gone back a long way, competing against each other, not as managers. He was a player, and the manager was a very good friend of mine for the most time that I saw him causing us problems, which he used to. Was Middlesbrough and with Steve McLaren. So it's a big welcome to George Boateng. George,
Hi,
thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Hi, George.
Nice introduction. I like that.
Yeah, it's a former Coventry, Aston Villa, Middlesbrough, Hull, and Netherlands, of course.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Nat.
So your paths have crossed, as Sam says many times.
Yeah, we're lucky to win the Carling Cup. Let's get that in right now.
Yes, I was about to say.
I was never going to bring that up.
I was.
Honestly.
29th of February 2004.
Listen, full marks for the pair of us to get there is not an easy task to any cup final. But when you want to, and he probably won't remember this, but I do. The penalty was a double hit, right? So if there was VAR, it wouldn't have been allowed.
Okay.
Like you mean, and you could have disputed the penalty. I thought we should have had to go into extra time, but I never forgive Mike Riley because I never got to another final again.
Oh.
So that as a player, not as a manager. But there we go. Great experience, great journey. Even better for them because they went into Europe, and I think you went right the way through, didn't you?
Yeah, we went to the final the following year.
And that's those differences in split seconds in a football match. Anyway, shows you how much it affects me because
you still remember it 21
You know what I mean? 20 years ago.
Was it a double hit, George?
Well, I was coming thinking I want to be on Sam's good side, so I wasn't going to bring it up.
You're not going to be on me wrong.
But you have to ask Bolo because he took the penalty. Bolo Zender. I was a spectator behind him at that moment. But yeah, he's right because with the current VAR, that probably would have been replayed or would have been disallowed goal. So we criticized the VAR for many reasons, but in some way it probably has benefited the game.
Do you have any other standout memories of playing when Sam was on the sidelines?
Yeah, loads. Especially his Bolton era with the team he had with Okocha, with Jokaev, Viero, and I was kind of like jealous in a way because I was looking at it from afar and I'm thinking they're playing some amazing football. And how does this manager
just a minute? Can people hear this? By the way, because all the crap we used to get off reporters about long ball Sam. Yeah, here's somebody who's saying who used to play against our teams. Just what a false narrative it was that still continued in today. But sorry, George.
Yeah, but you are right. It's just narrative opinions because if you're playing, believe me, when we went to Bolton, it wasn't a long ball football. It was survival because you knew they've got creative players. Even in the dying minutes of games, you have to stay focused because at any time, any moment, someone can do something magical and you'll lose the game. And that's what we knew going into Bolton. But like I said earlier, I was a bit jealous because he had this team of players of very creative ideas and Okocha flicking balls over people's head. And I used to get annoyed about it. I was like, and you can't stop it, And then you had players like Jokaev who can do something similar actually in in the Carling Cup final where he should have scored 2 goals, really.
Yeah.
And we were really lucky. One he mishit, and then I think Swartz made a good save. But yeah, I really have crossed paths many times, and I've always enjoyed playing against his team. More so when I was playing home against Bolton than
Since your playing career, you've been coaching.
Yeah.
Most recently, you were at Coventry. What is life now?
Yeah, life is. I've had amazing upbringing in terms of learning my trade in the job as a coach. I've always felt that if you are a good player, it doesn't automatically make you a good coach or a manager.
Right.
And therefore, I chose to start in the academy and to learn about coaching and do my hours and
all your qualifications.
I've done all my qualifications. I've got my pro license. It was funny because when I qualified as a pro licensed coach, and my first role was in the academy, then they told me, yeah, but you don't have your youth advance award yet. I was like, what are you telling me? I have to go back again and
That's
do
all
it.
about the
Always
FA making
something.
more money, you know.
Yeah.
So I spent 3 years
In my opinion.
doing that. But even so, I was still coaching during the courses, which was brilliant. But yeah, currently, with that in mind, I believe that I've done enough hours learning about coaching. I've done the last few roles were all assistant roles. And as I sit here today, I feel that I'm ready to have my own team and manage my own team.
You in the right place then?
Yeah.
Nat will give you the stats on our guests.
Yes.
Our guests over the last, how long have we been going now?
2.5 years?
2.5 years. We didn't realise this until probably about 6 months ago or so, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like when we totted it up, like you mean. So somebody who's looking for some work or to get back into football, our figures are
28 of our guests now have come on and then gone back into football.
Okay.
the last was Charlie Adam,
Yep.
who got into Everton as one of the new roles in the Premier League, set play coach. So
You should have told me this 6-7 months ago. I would have come much earlier.
you could thank your agent for contacting me saying George Boateng wants to come on, like you mean. So it wouldn't have crossed my mind, but it was just sent it to John, who organised it. So it's great to have you here.
Brilliant. Thank
Yes.
you.
We use it as a selling point now to literally get guests to come on, George. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
so if you're looking for work, just contact us. If we can get you on, we might get your job or find you
Yeah.
one.
That wasn't my reason. My reason A was first.
Well, you didn't know, did you?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to meet Sam, and because one thing I enjoy doing as part of my education as a coach is pick brains of people who have already done the job, have already been there, managed at that level. So I had it with Chris Hughton, which I met. I did with Chris Wilder. Just spend an hour just talking about football.
Yeah.
How was your experience as a coach, as a manager? What were the problems in the beginning of your career? You know, things that I have to watch out for. Even though I've played 22 years at elite level of performances, it's totally different as a player than as a coach. As a player, I come in the morning and, I put my boots on and I go on the pitch and it's like, okay, right, what are we doing today? But as a coach, you are there like 8 o'clock in the morning. Before you get on the pitch, it's 2 hours later.
Yeah. And then you get home about tea time if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're manager, you might as well sleep in the office when you start. I really mean that sometimes, honestly, because if you don't go full out to find the ins and outs of the club you're at, if you're the number one, which is a head coach now, it's not the manager, it's your head coach.
Yeah.
To find out your club that you're at and evolve what you want to evolve takes a lot of time when everybody's left, because it's good time for thinking. Obviously, you may keep your staff with you to discuss the plan or what your way forward or what you need and how you're going to present that to your board or your director of football, whoever it might be today. And that's the difference between when you're assistant manager coaching or if you're youth academy coaching. The vast majority of your time is involved around coaching. When you're a manager, the coaching becomes a smaller part.
Yeah.
And my choice was to pass the coaching side to the coaches.
Yeah.
I eventually found out that when I first started, I was doing all of it, travelling, watching players, coaching, doing the board meetings, doing press, doing radio, doing the whole thing, doing everything, like I mean. And the fatigue level that you get to, that you have to be careful to manage it. You know what I mean? So being a delegate in terms of finding somebody you because what you do if you pass some of the coaching on to your coach, you're promoting him and you're giving him. You've heard the cases of some assistant managers and coaches saying, "All I am is bibs, balls,
and
cone carrier." You know what I mean? So the manager's so obsessed with doing it all himself, which is what I experienced with Brian Talbot in my first job at West Brom, and said, like, "Is there any chance you can let me coach?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in all fairness to Brian, he taught me a lot about his, the dedication that he had and he showed. So, but if you sat behind that desk for your first time when you get that job, and I hope you do, is going to be all those things you put into place as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But your relationship here is the
boardroom level,
most important one.
Yeah, they keep you in the job.
Yeah, but if you gain their respect and they trust you, then they'll give you. You've got to be able to squeeze more out of them than the previous manager, and you'll be successful because they're the ones who end up needing to support you more.
We always ask our listeners if they'd like to ask a question. And Ashley messaged in asking, your name's been linked recently with a few managerial jobs, actually. So you were linked with the rumours to the Blackburn job, both as manager and assistant manager, and you've also been linked with jobs for Wigan and Swansea. And Ashley would like to know, is any of those rumours been true? Did you speak to any of those clubs?
Yeah, Blackburn, obviously I coached there, so I have a good relationship with the board and the directors there. But they got in touch, asking what my opinions are in terms of the head coach role as well as the assistant coach role. And I said I'm available and I'm very interested. A club that I've coached, and some of the players that I coached in the academy in 2018, they are now in the first team. So it made the job very appealing to me, having the opportunity to work with players that I've worked with before at the younger age groups. But yeah, it did not materialize. They chose Ismail Valérien. And with Wigan, we showed interest as well as Swansea, but on both occasions, I think Swansea has not appointed anyone yet, but Wigan has. So we continue with the search.
Not easy, George.
No.
Not easy.
How would you describe, what would a George Boateng team look like, do you think?
You mean in terms of my philosophy and style of play? Well, my philosophy is actually based on Dutch football. I grew up in Holland. And
so that's 4-3-3 then?
Yeah, you would like to think so, but it's not. Obviously, I can coach 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, but my personal philosophy is based on a back three. In terms of philosophy, I see the game being played as really high press and try to suffocate the opposition into making mistakes, and we exploit those mistakes as a team. But I believe that a back three, you got more triangles in a back three all over the pitch, and those are passing lanes to get through to the goal. It's just how you execute that and how you set yourself up in terms of transition-wise. So that's more like the philosophy.
Oh, I like it.
I get that. I get that. No problem at all. But we have in our minds all the type of football we want to play, but it's the capability which has been lost, particularly even down the leagues now. The capabilities of the player to play like you want them to play have to be compromised by you if they can't play that way.
Yeah.
And we are overloaded with the bullshit of we have to play out from the back in our own 18-yard box. And all of a sudden, at long last, this title, No Tippy Tappy Football, everybody's turning around saying, look, why are we all doing this?
Yeah.
Why is I can hear all the the big punters on the TV now saying, has it started to be detrimental to the Premier League particularly? And I say it has, and I have been saying that for a while. Because do it if you're capable of doing it.
Yep.
Don't do it that. Now, obviously, some managers have fell foul to their philosophy, and they mustn't change it. If that's the way they are, they live or die by it.
Yeah.
You know, but lots of managers have lost the job by not being pragmatic enough and flexible enough to say, I need to change the way I play. He's only going to stay in a job if he wins.
Yeah.
How do you feel about tippy tappy football, George?
Yeah, look, we in Holland, you know, our style of football is all about is about possession. But what I've learned over the years, exactly what Sam has said, is that growing up in Holland, we have the possession and the positional style of play. I came to England when I was 22. I learned what performance and winning and how to win games at elite level.
Yep.
So what I've done in my philosophy is I've combined both two to become who I am and what I am and how I see the game is supposed to be played. So yes, in my philosophy, I'm not afraid sometimes to go direct. If that's where the spaces are, we will do that. But majority, if you give us spaces wherever it is, we will exploit that through positional play. But what Sam is saying, I buy into it 100% because as a young coach, for example, if I get a role and I have two strikers who are the two best players of the club, I can't play one striker up. I have to find a system and formation.
That's right.
To get the best out of that team to win games for me to then sustain in the job. So in a way, yes, I have a philosophy, but I'm very open-minded to understand that wherever I go, I'm going to find a way to get the best out of the squad that I have, whether that would be a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 or a back three. And this has to be the same everywhere you work.
That leads us lovely onto the Manchester derby, by the way, and Ruben Amorim.
Oh, well, look, you have to live or die by it. You know what I mean? You live or die by your own philosophy and your own beliefs. Like that's why that's why you've got the job. Strong, determined, for the pressure that's put upon you, particularly when it's not going so well, to be or do or put it right is a big ask of his staff. If the staff can't speak to him and tell him some home truths and say what you're doing, you know, I think we should try or this or that. And then staff are just not really helping. His philosophy is Man United's responsibility to build a team of players for his system, because they haven't got it now.
I 100% agree with that. I was going to say support from the club to the coach in terms of the style and philosophy he wants to play. The thing that worries me a little bit about that is, you know, Man United back in the day was always 4-4-2, and you know
everybody's talking
they
about
keep
that.
the width, and then you know so that philosophy has gone out the window when Sir Alex retired. And the problem that I have personally is you can't keep changing the philosophy and style of a club to suit the manager that you have. For me, it should be the other way around. A club should have a philosophy and style of play, and you appoint the manager to it.
And that goes all the way down, doesn't it?
It goes all the way down to the youth.
Yeah.
Because when the manager leaves, the identity of the club still exists.
Definitely.
What you saw under Erik ten Hag, you know, it was a totally different philosophy and style of play. They struggled also, but still he managed to get trophies.
Yeah, he did.
But now it's like Man United has gone back to gone to a whole different philosophy and style. It's going to cost a lot of money and it's going to cost some time to turn it around. Now, what happens if this current manager Amorim leaves in 2-3 seasons? Are you going to spend more money again to get it all rectified? True. So these are decisions that the board members, and I'm glad I'm not there, have to make.
It's still too much emphasis on the manager,
or
coach, head coach, and not enough emphasis on recruitment.
Why is it that a club like Man United, with all the trophies they've won, it doesn't have a better squad than Aston Villa? This honestly, when I think about it, I can't. I go crazy. Like, it's
It mashes your
impossible.
head, doesn't it? You can't believe how
it was
done it.
It was a centre forward Aston Villa had to let go. Went to Saudi, didn't he?
Yes.
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 Duran. Yeah, Colombian striker.
You wouldn't. My personal opinion is, if I was the coach, I would find a way to play them both.
It's interesting though. Did you see Gary Neville talking about the decline in the quality? If it is what some people are saying, the comments that Gary Neville made yesterday. Football isn't played off the cuff anymore. Players don't leave their positions. They've got no freedom. They have a robotic style, and it is a disease of the game. If you're listening on the podcast, Sam is currently waving his hands in the air.
Listen. They listen to Gary a lot more than me because he's really getting good. But this is why I named this podcast this.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago, because I could see what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a pandemic in football.
What do you make of those comments, George?
Yeah, obviously we all watched the game, and it was it wasn't the commercial match that normally is for Premier League. Normally, when you've got such a big game, especially in Europe, all around the world, everybody is glued to the TV because it's the biggest advertisement for the English game. And what's the English game is that it's fast-paced, it's quality, you got top players, you got mavericks, individual players who can create and do something that is extraordinary in the game, which I touched on about Sam's team before at Bolton. And we missed that yesterday when we watched the Manchester derby, and everybody felt that it was boring. It was indeed pragmatic, it was structured, but there was no freedom for players to express themselves. For me, I understand it from Manchester United point of view, because they are going through a very difficult time in terms of the team and the transition. But from Manchester City's point of view, I thought it was more disappointing because Pep Guardiola, for me, is somebody that has changed the game, has opened people's mind in terms of versatility, creativity to play the game. And yesterday I was hoping that he would play more freedom and express his team. And I think also for the first time we could feel that he feels he's under pressure.
I think so.
Yeah. And that's why his team performed like that.
It's an enormous pressure to keep it going, isn't it?
Ooh, I don't like that. Because it's probably true, George, where does Kevin De Bruyne rank for you in terms of Premier League midfielders?
I tell you what, I was so impressed when he first joined City, and I was one of the few people, believe it or not, that thought that's an awful lot of money for somebody coming from Germany. Obviously, he didn't really have the best of success at Chelsea. He was young. His performances over the years, Sam, and the goals, the creativity, and what really surprised me is that he runs a lot. His stats back that up. He runs every game. He runs a lot. He does above 12K, and he doesn't break a sweat. I don't see a sweat on his forehead, and yet he's covering these distances and matching up with the quality. For me, people argue that who was the most important player in the City team, whether it was Rodri or is it Kevin De Bruyne, and everybody would say Rodri because of his, once he was injured.
Yeah, but that's because they've not seen Kevin for a while because he's been injured. But if you put the pair of them together, and Pep sorts his back four out or back three because he hadn't sorted them out for a long time, by the way. They've conceded more goals than they've ever in a season, right? And that's why they can't win the league. They've scored enough, but they've conceded too many. You know what I mean? But isn't it funny though, what would Chelsea have been? I know they were very, very successful, but they ended up letting De Bruyne go, Salah go, Lukaku go. Like, you mean, they've been
Iron Robin.
top players. Robin,
Yeah, they just needed a bit more patience in in their
Adam
In
as young-
football,
Adam as
George,
youngsters.
patience.
But they had them as youngsters, didn't they? They had them as youngsters, like you mean. They were picked up before anybody else, like you mean. So, but talented.
Okay. So where are you ranking him?
He's one of the best players I've ever seen in the Premier League, especially midfielders who can attack and as well as create and score goals.
Yeah.
Right, because that's the thing. You have players like Cesc Fabregas, a fantastic creator, and of course he could score the odd goals. But you look at Kevin De Bruyne, and every time he has the ball, he's got an eye for the goal.
Yeah.
He's either scoring or he's
assisting,
which is incredible for. And I'm sorry to say, but Pep has waited too long to find the next Kevin De Bruyne, because now he's come out to say that he's going. And my question is, who's going to replace him? Yeah. Because there are not many, if there is any, or anybody out there who can replace him. But he's honestly, and we will appreciate him once he leaves the Premier League, because he has made immense impression on everybody else who loves English football.
Very much so. Where do you rank him?
He's amongst the elite top 3 over his time here. Yeah. But I do like, and I forgot his name again because I'm really bad at this. Your new Egyptian player.
Oh, Marmoush.
He looks a player, him.
Yeah.
And a goal scorer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that they found a diamond in that lad. Like, I mean.
Other Premier League news that happened this weekend, and imminently just happening, breaking news as we are recording. So Southampton got relegated this weekend, and today their manager has left with immediate effect. Wow. Like, I think expected him to probably go, but before the end of the season. I mean, they have been relegated in a record least amount of games.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
Has he left, or have they sacked him? I said we'll have to wait to see what that is, won't it? Like, I mean, because obviously, if you're really you want to, unless that's a mutual coming together, like you mean, like for me in the end.
Would it make a difference, Sam, if he left or he was sacked? Would it make a difference in terms of the job he's done and the way forward?
It would suggest that there's something he hasn't liked to try and manage the club in his time there. And the other way around is that just not giving him the opportunity to take the club back up, is that they feel they need somebody different to get them out of the Championship back into the Premier League again. Yeah.
But that was always on the cards. I think when you watch Southampton, first of all, it's sad always when a team gets relegated. I was relegated once in my career, and it's not a nice feeling. But what I can say is that if you get relegated, there is always the mistakes being made down the line, whether it's at board level, playing body, staff, technical team, there are mistakes being made, and those mistakes have not been rectified in time, which has resulted for you to get relegated. Southampton's squad, it is hard, because you agree with me on this. Yeah. When we were working in the Premier League as a player and coach, the gap between the Championship and the Premier League was big, but not as humongous as it is today.
Right.
Today, you look at Ipswich, you look at Southampton, you look at Leicester. They are struggling because the gap is huge, and the players have changed. If I spoke to the staff at Burnley when I was at Coventry City in the Championship, and I was just, after the game, you have a chat in the manager's office and you ask, like, so how is it the level now in the Premier League with the players you've got, and was it difficult in terms of winning matches? And they were saying that if you don't have 5-6 top players every weekend available who are powerful, quick, athletic, can run, and they're fast, you've got no chance of winning a Premier League game.
I want to move on and talk about one of your former clubs, please, George. Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. You mentioned them before because they are smashing it. They are having an incredible season. They currently sit just 2 points behind Chelsea.
How many have they won on the trot now?
I don't
And
know.
they're 6 or 7 on the trot now in all competitions.
City have got them coming up, and it's worrying because if they beat us, they jump us and would push City down into 7th or something.
This is going to be his lowest points total.
Oh, yeah.
You know that,
It's
don't you?
worrying, Sam. But Villa in
He
terms...
needs a good holiday, you know that, don't you?
I need a good holiday, Sam.
Yeah.
In terms of Villa, obviously Marcus Rashford is gone there and he's doing brilliant. Simon Jordan, though, has said that Rashford signing for Villa permanently would be too much of a big deal for Villa. If they get into the top 4, do they have to spend the money on those sort of deals?
I don't agree with Simon Jordan on that.
No?
I think
Can they, if under financial fair play, can they manage it? Or would they have to sell an academy player or sell that player? Because everybody's starting selling academy players to cope because they're 100% profit into the financial fair play. How destructive is that for our youth systems? Selling your best players from the academy to cope with the final. I mean, it's outrageous, you know this.
You don't agree with Simon Jordan on
No,
that?
I think it's a poor statement from Simon Jordan because he doesn't see the magnitude and the size of Aston Villa. We're not talking about a Southampton or a Crystal Palace here.
No.
For Marcus Rashford to sign permanently for Aston Villa, for me, it doesn't even have to be in the Champions League. The club is big enough to deal and to have a player like Marcus Rashford on their books. I would suggest Simon Jordan goes and watch a game at Villa Park and see how good they play and have a look at the training ground. It's
very nice.
It's unbelievable.
It's right next to the Belfry as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's state-of-the-art training ground. It's a Champions League team. It's a Premier League team that is established and it's got a very, very good team. It was strange in the beginning for me to see Rashford in the Villa colours, in the claret and blue.
Yeah.
But I have adjusted to it and I love it. And I think even if Villa doesn't qualify for the Champions League, they should still go all out to sign Marcus Rashford. It would be better also for him personally. I know he wants to play Champions League. I understand that. But I think he was at the Champions League club and wasn't playing, or he played and doesn't play all the time. But at the end of the day, it's about how you feel or where you feel most happy. And if you are happy with Aston Villa and you're scoring, your game level is really high and it's good, he can play for England if he stays at Villa. So I don't see no problem why Marcus Rashford, or Villa shouldn't go all out to keep him there permanently.
They've changed his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because he won't put up with it.
Hopefully he's got.
Cameron won't put up with it.
Yeah.
When we're hearing about him going here and going there and out here and out there, that won't be allowed.
Yeah.
It's not allowed at Man United really, but I don't think it's ever been seriously sorted out with him, like you mean. So, but maybe that's the distance of a young lad who's been at Manchester or through school has already seen its.
Yeah, it's
time together and needs to move. Both need to move on.
Yeah, it's the environment, Sam. I think, and sometimes you have to take the player out of the environment.
Yes,
where he's got childhood friends and school friends, and I'm not saying he's got bad friends. What I'm saying is that the environment, Marcus Rashford needs to get out of the environment of Manchester, and Birmingham might be the suitable location for him. And it's breathtaking to watch him play at Villa. I obviously it's an old club of mine, and I just think it's a very good marriage between Marcus Rashford and Aston Villa.
And they've won the European Cup before anybody else in England. Don't forget. Now
They
youngsters won't know that, will they? But they won't know that, will they?
And another person that's been an incredible fit for Aston Villa has been Morgan Rogers. So
yes,
less than 18 months after he joined.
Why did you let him go?
Oh, Sam, £12 million they got him for. What?
Wow.
Like that's it. I don't.
Midfield goal scorer.
You'd have to put a massive value on him these days, right now.
He has surprised me. I've always seen the talent in him when he was at Middlesbrough and he was playing. I followed Middlesbrough very closely, and I thought he was very talented. Obviously, coming from your favorite team, City's development, but he has surprised me in a lot of ways in the speed of his development. I thought it would take a bit longer for him to get to where he is today, But he's learned so fast, and he's got the size, he's got the technical and the tactical ability to cope in the Premier League and scoring goals. And the lads have taken him on board. He's fitted in so well, and he has really surprised me. And what kind of price can you put up for Rodgers? If they bought him for 12 million, I think at the moment he'll be around 50 million pound. I think that's even reasonable, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, without a doubt.
Do you think they've got a chance against PSG?
It'll be an interesting game. What I will say is that, as we all have noticed and witnessed, that when Liverpool played PSG, on paper, everybody was heavily in favour for Liverpool to win that game. When you get to stages like this in games, all that goes out of the window in terms of, but this team is favourite. It's all about on the day.
Yeah.
The team that can perform and makes least mistakes will win the game. And I don't think people should write Aston Villa off against PSG.
Best of luck to them. I would absolutely love them to beat PSG. Would love them. You're on record as saying that your dream managerial job is Aston Villa. Is that still the case?
Yeah, why not? I made that statement because I care about the club, and I've seen the rise of the club. I've seen also the change when I was playing there in 99, 2000, 2001. When they changed the stand, the Douglas stand, the Trinity, and everything else, the training ground, new training ground that they've built, which is amazing to work. It has all the attributes for any manager who has aspiration to be a top coach, top manager, to go and work there. You can see Unai Emery, at Arsenal wasn't so successful, but the experience he had at Arsenal.
That's it, isn't it?
He has taken that to Aston Villa, and Aston Villa is the team, the club that has benefited really from his experience at Arsenal. And they're doing a fantastic job. And sitting here today, if you are saying to me...
But he also did it at Seville, didn't he?
Yeah,
at Seville as well, yes.
So,
yes.
You know what I mean? So the blip was Arsenal. I mean, if you're taking over after Arsenal anyway, it's not going to be easy anyway, is it? You know what I mean?
We're going to finish by giving you some of the questions that our listeners have sent in for you, George.
Okay.
You can always ask questions on, comment on the YouTube, we're across all the social media platforms. You can always send them in for our guests. So.
I hope my mum is not asking some.
Let me just double check. No.
Different questions.
Unless she's asking you specifically about Coventry borrowing the playoffs, but we'll get there. Grant has asked you. You worked with Haji Wright at Coventry.
Yeah.
Is he destined for the Premier League?
Haji Wright, fantastic player, and I enjoyed working with him. Lovely lad as well, very quiet, and he's keen to develop his game. He's got the size to be a good number 9. He sees himself as a striker, but as coaches, and sometimes we felt that he was better off playing off the flanks, because once he turns and he faces the fullback, he's so dangerous. And when you are 9, you are playing most of the game with your back against the goal, and occasionally you get to turn and run at people, and he's very good at that. So I think he's got the skills to be a Premier League player, but that will come, I would say, if he stays with Coventry for at least one more season, because next season, 2026, is the World Cup, which is obviously in the US, Canada, and Mexico, and that would be a very good showcase for Haji Wright to show himself, to prove himself that he's ready for Premier League football.
Love that. Okay, sometimes when our listeners send in questions, George, I purposely do not check, Google them, so sometimes they can be crazy, George. But we'll just go with it.
That's worrying.
Yes, that's that's a slight warning here, because I have no idea what you're about to say. Somebody would like to know what prank you played on Ray Parlour when you were at Middlesbrough.
Here we are now. Oh, no. Okay. How does he have that knowledge in the first place? He must have heard that story
before somewhere. So when I was at Middlesbrough, I had the pleasure to play with Bolo Zender. And Bolo Zender and I came through different academies in the Netherlands. Bolo came through PSV Eindhoven, I did Feyenoord Academy. But in the youth, we were always playing against each other as well. And then we happened to play together in the under-21s. and then the senior side. So when the opportunity came about that Bolo was leaving Chelsea to come to Middlesbrough, I was the happiest person at the Riverside because it was like my childhood friend is coming in the same thing. But it also brought a lot of childhood memories in terms of being cheeky. And Bolo Zenda and I always were messing around in the changing rooms and, you know, cutting people's laces and you know.
You get slaughtered for that now, George.
Yes, stuff like that. So
you'll be sent to HR now.
I know. we one day we realized that Ray Parlour has this beautiful blonde hair, and he was always, after showering, he's always drying it with the hair blow dryer, and, you know, and combing it and put this gel and whatever. So Bolo and me came up with the idea that we thought, okay, this would be good. We got baby powder from the physio rooms, and we unscrewed the top bit of the hair blow dryer.
Yeah.
And we filled it with baby powder and closed the lid really nicely. Yeah.
Brilliant
but
idea.
At Middlesbrough, we trained downstairs, the pitches are down. So we did it as Ray Parlour just left the change room to go down. And we did it all nicely, cleaned it all up, put it there, and we went downstairs to train. Had a very good session, came back up, and Ray went to shower. Me and Bolo were standing in the corner, obviously. We want to see what's going to happen. And Ray Parlour, he took the hair blow dryer and started blowing his hair, and his whole face turned white. he looked in the mirror, he looked like a ghost. And me and Bolo were standing there laughing our head off, and he wanted to kill us.
That is amazing.
Yeah, but
how into wet hair as well would have mashed all over.
I never thought of that one. That's a cracker, that.
Yeah.
That's very...
He had to go back into the shower.
Shower
again.
That was a good, well done, whoever sent that one in. Good researching. Okay, Harry's asked you, what did you think when Phil Brown, being on the podcast, got a job? What did you think when Phil Brown did the team talk on the pitch?
This was at Hull City.
You were older.
Yeah, I was
at Man City.
I was at Man City. Yeah,
good old Brown here.
Yeah, I have to share the back story of it, because people always think that Phil and I were disliked each other. It was far from it. As a player, I was very driven, and I knew what I wanted, and I was friendly with everyone. But if I feel someone is hindering me from achieving what I have to do, or hindering me from my job, then I become very defensively. Mm-hmm. So we had our differences, but we were always very good friends and on speaking terms. That incident was because we were 6th in the league as a promoted team.
Yeah.
And we were flying. We were doing very well.
Yeah.
So the manager, Phil, decided that we've got Boxing Day match away at Man City. And he said, you know what, we don't need to come in on Christmas Day. So he gave us the day off. We would travel then to Manchester and play. But when we got there, obviously Man City was then in the transition of being what it is today, with amazing players, your Adebayor and your Robinhos and what have you. And before we realized, we were already 2-0 down and 3-0 down in like a space of like 25 minutes or so. So I was taking off. I was on the bench. At the halftime, Phil Brown called in all the players. But I thought, and everybody thought, that we were going to our side of fans to clap, which you sometimes do, to apologize or show a bit of humility that, you know, we appreciate the fact that you've come all the way here, and we haven't really turned up. But when we got there, then Phil sat us down, and he was going through the squad and telling, you know, what we were doing wrong. But the funny part was that there were about 60,000 people there.
I was there.
And you were there.
I was there.
Yeah.
And none of the players could hear what Phil Brown was saying. And also you have to think about the playing bodies, the players. How did they perceive an action like that?
Not great, obviously, because what was the final score?
Yeah, we still lost the game. Yeah. And we scored, I think, 1 in the second half. But I think he was disappointed in the manner, the way he gave us the day off, and for us, it wasn't seen like we let him down. I think and he definitely underestimated that, you are going to the City Ground. And this is a team that is capable of beating anyone on the day.
Yeah.
Even though we were flying, they had better qualities. And at the end of the day, our downfall was not that we didn't try. It was because the opposition had better quality than we did. But that it was a sad moment. And to be honest, I sat there and I was a bit like I was in heaven. Like, I don't know what is going on here.
Yeah.
Everything is going so fast and bypassed you. So that's that. That
Good,
answers
isn't
the
it?
question for you.
Yeah.
It gets replayed and replayed all over
And we have
the place.
one of the
doesn't
most
it?
iconic Premier League celebrations ever.
And also then we didn't hear anything from the crowd.
Yeah. 2 questions left for you. So, funny, I actually hosted an evening with Jimmy Bollard not long ago, and he talked about this, and he talked about his time at Hull. And he talked about how when he joined Hull, he accidentally got paid more than he had negotiated.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's ever told you about this. In his contract, it was £15,000 more than he had verbally agreed. So when he saw it on the contract, he quickly signed it.
Yeah,
obviously.
As you do.
Did you know about that? Did it happen to you?
It never happened to me, unfortunately. But I was
True.
aware of it. Yeah,
Yep.
that's true. So I was aware of it at the
God,
time.
the secretary wouldn't last long then, would he?
Mm-hmm.
Or he or she,
Yeah,
or whoever did that.
Yeah. I was aware of it, but
15 grand a week more.
if
It's not like a small slip up, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But Sam, if you put anyone in that situation,
you'd all sign it.
everybody would sign.
Of course you would.
So you don't blame Jimmy for that.
Yeah.
It's a mistake that is done by the club, and they.
I've had the chairman trying to change a player's contract so he could pay him less.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tipexed it out.
no.
Yeah, and Tipex the money out and Tipex the date out and tried to put it back in, in a different date. And of course, the contract's a coloured contract.
Right.
It's not black and white.
Yeah.
So you couldn't find it. You can't find a Tipex that colour anyway.
Yeah.
So it looks so shabby.
So stupid.
Unfortunately for me, I had to deal with that because the player came in and told me, and then the PFA rang me,
Yeah.
and then I had to go to the chairman and go, "What are you doing?
Unbelievable.
What are you doing?"
Oh.
So he's trying to.
Did he feel that the player was underperforming in terms of the value
He
of
was
the
just
contract he
so
had?
tight, George. He was just so. He had stickers on the wall that said, "I pay the electric bill. Please switch off when you go out." And so if you came into the club and he'd have wandered round when most had gone, and if you'd left a light on, there'd be a little memo on your desk or in the dressing room. Switch your light off. Switch your light off.
Yeah.
So
He's no different to my mom.
I was just thinking, that's what I say to my son.
yeah,
Switch them lights off.
That was
Okay.
it,
Well, I'm sorry that didn't happen for you at home. But it did happen for Jimmy. Right, last question for you. If Coventry and Middlesbrough end up in the playoffs together against each other, who are you supporting?
I tell you what, may the best team win. Well, it happened 2 seasons ago when I went to the semi-final in the playoffs, Coventry, Middlesbrough, which was a draw. And then in return, Middlesbrough lost 1-0 to Coventry. If you remember, Coventry then played the final against Luton.
Yes.
That they then lost on penalties. So I was there. But for me, it's made the best team win. I'm not sitting on the fence, but both teams have a good squad. Both teams have good managers in Frank and Michael Carrick. I've played for both clubs where they haven't been in the Premier League for an awful long time. But for me, it's about always, is the club ready for Premier League level?
is the manager.
Is the manager ready? And Frank has managed Chelsea and Everton in the Premier League, but also the facilities. Coventry has now developed a very good training ground. They've refurbished the place. When I went there, I left Coventry in 1998, I think, 98, 99.
I played for Coventry.
You did?
Yeah, I was captain.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
And when I left then, I hadn't been back to the training ground, and I went there last season in 2024. And I couldn't find the place, Sam.
Is it new?
It was the same place.
Oh, they just developed it.
They just developed it. They refurbished it, and it looks immaculate. And I stood there asking myself, is this the same place? Or is it? I checked the postcode. And
They don't own their own ground now, though, do they?
No, that's the
Mike
CBS.
Mike Ashley owns that ground.
Yes.
He bought the stadium because the stadium is valuable because of its. It's not only the stadium, but it has a hotel and a casino on it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and a big car park, and it's about 2 minutes off the M6.
Yeah.
So he's, as usual, Mike sniffed out a great deal again there, like you mean. But at least it's got Coventry playing back there.
Yes.
They're playing at Birmingham.
This helped Birmingham, Northamptons, and it's just awful for the fans. And I'm happy that now there's more stability at the club. And obviously great to see the transition, the change with Frank coming in and turning things around. And I have
Mark
to say,
Robbins did an unbelievable job, though.
I was about to say,
I mean, what a job he did.
He did an unbelievable job, and people have already forgotten. Frank is benefiting from the foundation that Mark Robbins has laid. And
tagging him up to
without taking any credit away from Frank and his staff, what they've done to turn things around that quickly is really good and compliment them. And I hope for them also, for the club, that they do make it to the playoffs and make the best team win if it's Middlesbrough and Coventry.
May the best team win. Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
George, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine, and I've learned a lot.
Thank you. I apologise to you both and everybody for my sniffling and sneezing and nose blowing.
I mean, you nearly put me off a couple
I know, I feel rotten, Sam. I'm proud of myself for being here.
She got one of them sprays, and just...
I'm going to go home to my bed. Hopefully I'll be all right for next week.
Yes.
See you next week, Sam.
See you all next week.
Natalie.
Thank you for
watching.
watching.
No Tippy Tappy Football.
Sam, for having me.
The pleasure.